Before we can dive into these subjects, I'd like to preface it this way. There's a lot of things out there, mysterious things, Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of things, that are true, and they hold a certain power. But why do they hold power? Not because of what they are, but because of who we are. And in this world where we have isolated ourselves from the true oneness of the universe, of the godness, and in many ways we have isolated ourselves. The higher beings, illumined ones, angelics, hierarchy, all of these entities, and of course my term of the star kindred and the inner earth kindred, are there to help us in any way they can, that they are permitted to help us. And by that I mean that they follow the universal law, which Thoth calls the Unanimity Pact among equilibriant worlds, a mouthful, I know, where our genetic kindred are here for us, but at the same time they are not spoon-feeding us, because we must go on our own path of evolution. Yet they can help us in certain ways. And in one of these ways, it is to give us tangible items that some of them are like really physical, and some of them are barely physical, and some of them are not physical at all. But again, physical is a term that we understand, because from the Thothic perspective, everything is a spirit, just lesser density or greater density. So all of these objects, crystal skulls, arks, magic wands, all of these things, they are part of the energy experience that we're using to connect to the greater being of ourself. As long as we don't depend on them, but understand their true purpose in our lives, they are a valuable tool to us. So that said, let us begin looking at some of these tools. Before we proceed to the new Earth Arks, let us take a look again at the arks which have already been given to us. Now I have videos on this, and I'm going to supply you with a playlist that I've created on my Vimeo account that will contain videos related to all of the things, or most of the things, that I'm going to be discussing here. So you'll find more information that I've already put out there on some of these topics in that playlist. But let us look at the Ark of the Covenant. Actually, there are two of them, according to the Thothic perspective. One of them he calls the Ark of Grace, and the other he calls the Ark of Karma. Now, I know those of you who have heard this before, please bear with me. I'm just going to repeat it just a little bit here, and I will be giving some new information about it. The Ark that he metaphorically calls the Ark of Grace has various names that he's given me for it, but most commonly he uses the sacred An, that's A-N, and that is a reference to divine light from his vocabulary. This was the original Ark that was brought to Earth eons ago and placed into a temple where the Potala in Tibet now stands. Not that place, but a temple that was there before. The Ark of An was gifted to us, you might say, from our soul kindred, our star kindred of the blue star Rigel in Orion, which is the origination of the actual consciousness spectrum, the mission of planet Earth. Of course, many star systems of the kindred have contributed to this planet, but Rigel, and especially the whole of Orion, is the birthing place. The Orion is the birthing place of this whole experience we are having in Earth, along with the planet Venus. We in Venus are were placed into this solar system, not the rocks and the soil, but the consciousness for a specific purpose. Now, Rigel is one star of many, of course, in Orion, but it has a crucial role in all of this. Again, this is a long story, and I've talked about it many times on various videos. So let us get back to the sacred An. It was placed deliberately into this particular temple in what is now Tibet for our guidance, connection. The intricacies of it are vast, and I'm not going to go into all of that here. In fact, I have never really gone into the total of it because I don't know the total of it. But what I do know, I have shared with you up to this point in various videos. So let us just say that it is a conductor, not just a transistor radio or something, but a real conductor of energies and consciousness that is beyond what we understand as a device, but indeed it is a holographic quantum infinity device. It has levels of physicality. At first it was barely physical, then it needed to become more physical so it could be transported physically from one location to another across energy nodes. In other words, not just poof, it leaves here and appears over here, but it had to go along these energy lines. It was Thoth, in his Racemas of Afra lifetime, that brought the Ark of An from its place in Tibet to Atlantis. And he had to bring it in a very special way so that it could mark these passages in the earth, like a crystal on an aculine of the body. And when Atlantis was faced with the time tsunami that Thoth, Racemas, knew was coming, he would take the Ark into the Sinai, where at a much later time, Moses would bring it down the mountain. And yet, as I state in my video that I created on this, and you'll find in the playlist, Moses was not able to leave it with the people because they didn't deserve it. They failed the litmus test, you might say. And so that is where we get the second Ark of the Covenant. That was manufactured, created per design for the people to take into the promised land. That's how it happened. So the second Ark, the Ark of Karma, is not a bad Ark, but it was a result of having to assume a lesser role in the whole picture of things because the people that were present at that time didn't follow instructions, and so they were just simply not capable in an initiatory way of handling the sacred An. So they had to have a second one. So the second An went to Jerusalem and was taken out of Jerusalem, and there's the mystery around where it is, and people are searching for it. We're not going to go there in this particular video. The sacred An went back into the mountain. When I was first sent here to Crestone, Colorado, in the sacred valley that Thoth calls the Valley of the Golden Disk. It's the San Luis Valley, a 72-mile-long high plateau in Colorado. Very mysterious, beautiful place. It's known for its portals and UFOs and all kinds of things. But when I first came here, and I was guided to come, in 1994, I stayed until 2000. I left and came back in 2017, and I've been here ever since. When I was here before, in the 90s, Thoth relayed to me that the thresholding chamber for the sacred An, where it would be its final resting place before the ascension process of the planet, would be here in a mountain that I can see right out my window. It's often called Mount Challenger, Kit Carson Mountain, or Kit Carson Peak, but Thoth sometimes refers to it as Crest in the Stone, or the mountain of the sacred An. And he said that the sacred An had been in its thresholding chamber here in the past. He's never really gone into that with me, how far back in the past that was, and that it would return here for the final time. I thought that would be 100 years from now or something, maybe even longer, but I was informed when I was in Kauai, living there, that it would be returned, and I believe it was in 2013. Well, that has occurred, of course, and as far as I know, that is where it is now. But it doesn't have to be carted along these days on poles, because it is not going down these acculines, and it also has become far more less physical. So it is in a thresholding chamber in a slightly removed dimension, just slightly, inside this mountain. There's a whole story around that, why it's here, the purpose of this region, the fact that Thoth states this area is the crown chakra of the Ascension grid. Again, you can find much more about all of this in the playlist I'm providing. I had intended to mention this earlier, so I just want to bring it up now. There's a very interesting character involved in the story, according to Thoth, and that is Menon. And he is the guardian of the sacred An. I imagine he still is. Even though Thoth played a strong role in it, it's Menon who is the guardian. And he, at the time when he was a teacher and outwardly bringing initiates into the mountain of Sinai to be present with the An and working with it, very select personages were allowed to come and be a part of this initiatory experience. He wore a golden mask because he is a Syrian being that is mixed genetics, that is, he part human, part Syrian, and Sirius has a lot of different types, okay? And one is the lion-headed beings, and they're certain, have certain cat features in various stages. And so his face was a little different looking. He wasn't a full-blown pussycat, but, he looked a little different. So he often wore this mask when he was in the public, so to speak. I don't know if he was ever really in the public, but, with people that he was initiating or bringing into the teachings. I would now like to read to you from something I received quite a few years ago. When the sacred An was translated to Earth at the point which is now Lhasa, Tibet, it contained within it, set in specific conducting terminals, the 5 gemstone quill scrolls. These quill scrolls were transferred to a lesser ark by Moses at Mount Sinai, acting upon instruction from Jehovah command. When this secondary ark came into the guardianship of King Solomon, now we're talking about the Ark of Karma, he constructed 4 more similar arks and placed a quill scroll in each of the 5 arks. From Solomon's temple, these 5 arks carrying their 5 quill scrolls, each set in a conductive terminal, were sent out into the world. All the while, the greater ark, the sacred An, also traveled from point to point and back again. The 5 lesser arks all feed their light codes into the mother ark, or An. According to Thoth, the 5 arks contain different gems in gemstone crystals. The golden scroll, which really is a golden sea, a lithium crystal, the ruby scroll, the sapphire scroll, the emerald scroll, and the amethyst scroll. The sacred An differs from the other arks in the following ways. It is the original master template created in another world originating from the blue star Rigel. It contains golden plates which line the inside of the box, upon which engrams of living light language are inscribed like the circuitry of a computer. This circuitry interfaces with the cobalt spheres of Orion and Betelgeuse. Cobalt spheres are spheres which maintain light programs for this universe, including Earth. When the gemstone quill scrolls are placed in their terminals inside an An Ark, or inside the An Ark, they become the software of the human program in this realm. Like the other 5 arks, the An is also an electromagnetic capacitor, but far more advanced than modern scientists are speculating, for these arks have the ability, when connecting to the quill scroll, to interface the electromagnetic currents of the Earth with human DNA and further specific points or crystalline fields in that DNA. The 5 lesser arks listed above are now dispersed around the world and are all connected to the An that acts as a main terminal for the entire unit of arks. The Urim and Thummim are crystalline energy overlays which interface programs of light into the planetary grid. Each of the 5 gemstone scrolls contains the vibrational register of all 14 gemstones. Now this is how Thoth comes up with 14. Within each of these 5 sets of 14, 2 of the gemstones carry the overlay of the Urim and Thummim, respectively. One carry the overlay of the Urim, the other for the Thummim. In other words, then, the full spectrum of the Urim and Thummim as a separate vehicle capstones the 70 gemstone vibration of the 5 scrolls. 5 scrolls times 14 gemstones equals 70 specific vibrations, which brings the vibration of the gemstone codex of the 5 scrolls interfaced with the Urim and Thummim to a vibration of 72, which corresponds to the rose Mystica numeric. Now, I can't even keep track of all of that, but that's what he says. And I will have a video on the rose Mystica in the playlist. Etheric crystals which hold the light programs for the Earth's human DNA return to the Adam Kadmon template, that's the human design. The highest form of these etheric crystals are composed in scrolls or specific consciousness-sensitive templates. These templates are recreated physically in the 5 quill scrolls of the arks. That concludes the reading of this particular information. Now, I've never received any more information on these specific lesser arks or their gemstone scrolls up to this point. Hopefully, maybe I will now that I'm bringing these things forward and putting them together on this video. We shall see. And now from an article with information I received about 7 years ago. Thoth speaks. The sacred An was relocated in January of 2014, I said 13, but it's 14, to its new and final thresholding chamber within the Crestone Stone Thoth retreat, inside the Challenger Peak Mountain near Crestone, Colorado. It is here it will stay until LP40 Ascension. Yet this object that we are referring to as an ark, indeed the true Ark of Grace, is far more than a physical device. It has developed its light program through the centuries and has become something beyond that which it was when first created on a planet of Rigel in the constellation of Orion, and was translated into its first thresholding within Tibet. As it was transported dimensionally to its current thresholding chamber, that is here, Crestone, Colorado, in the mountain of the crest and the stone, the An became the Ark of the Risen Dawn. We give it this name, for as the solar disk within it rises, so this sphere of transmuted crystalline particles, or manasari, sends radiations outward throughout the earth, connecting to and creating holographic imagery within the pyramidous radius matrix of the planet. And from this matrix is impressed into the DNA and mental construct of those among humanity who are able to receive it at this time. I wrote a recent article on my Substack. Well, it wasn't a recent article. It was something that I had received many years ago, but I placed it recently on Substack about the critical rotational positions of the brain on the brainstem and how the negative forces are attempting to manipulate that through such things as the so-called protection to the infection and other things. So when I'm reading this now, and from this matrix is impressed into the DNA and mental construct of those among humanity who are able to receive it at this time. And what is being impressed is holographic imagery of our future. So you can see how all these things intricately tie together. That's what amazes me about this work that I've been doing for all these years. I can go back to something I wrote 40 years ago, and it connects to something I brought in yesterday. And here is the thread again, moving through all these components. So now to continue. The Manasari collects and gathers the seeds of divine from major nodes on the earth, the primary being the Kaaba at Mecca, the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, a yet-to-be-revealed Temple of the White Lion in the Yucatan, the Gate of the Sun at Tiwanaku, atop the Altiplano of Peru, not the ruined structure by that name, but what lies beneath, the Great Pyramid at Giza, the Chamber of the Crystal Skull on Kauai, not yet revealed, the Labyrinth of Sais in Australia, of Egyptian origin, not yet revealed, the Kardesh Kamut stone in Iraq, not yet revealed, all the Magdalene temples, mostly not revealed, location only, all Sun Lords whose suspended state bodies still hold the matrix for cellular DNA transference, and more. Now there's a lot there to be unpacked, but we're not going to unpack it in this video. It's already getting longer and longer. As all is gathered by the Manasari, so it is brought into a cohesive whole and ignited by the pure white flame at the center of the Manasari sphere. This process began in May of 2014 and will continue for many years until the Ashatan is complete and LP40 begins. To continue. So Thoth, how does this relate, if indeed it does, to the here and now and what people are currently experiencing in life? Well, now this would have been written, as I said, about 7 or 8 years ago. Those who came to this planet as children of the sun are being awakened now to take their mission to greater and more personal level of service. They are taking upon them the dross of the Ashatan, the latter days, the last things, and holding open the furnace of the heart to pour these things into the transforming flame. As they do so, those of Earth who are their children come out of the later phases of their existence in Earth. I'm going to read that again. As they do so, those of Earth who are their children, who come out of the later phases of their existence in the Earth, shall be lifted into the thought of oneness. The process now ongoing from the Manasari is penetrating the sterilium of divine genesis of all humans participating in the world consciousness. Now, the sterilium of divine genesis, according to Thoth, the sterilium are the radials of Metatronic, that's full light, which are designed to penetrate the subsuvial membrane of an ensouled being and infuse the corporeal body of that soul's matter expression with the codes of divine kinship and thus service beyond the tapestry of karmic revolutions. Now, subsuvial membrane is a contact substance of interface between the etheric and the corpuscles of the blood. Okay, so back we go. So I ask, this taking upon them the dross of the Ashatan sounds heavy duty. How is this manifesting in their lives, basically? And Thoth states, it is evident for each one. They know who they are and what they are experiencing. Is this not so? Out of this experience, it is for each to respond to the highest dictate of the soul. And then I state, Thoth has also revealed to me that the children of the sun are in the process of creating zeta bodies for moment-to-moment alignments, moving through fractured time. Of course, I have that video on the zeta body. I need to include that in the playlist. Humanity is especially connected to the dynamic of the sacred An and all that it evokes in the dimensions of spirit. This is true for those in male incarnation as well, for they still contain the seed of divine feminine. However, souls now in female embodiment will find they are being called to exemplify the Yeshua Ba presence in the world, even more so in the new epoch. As I recall, Yeshua Ba is a reference to a particular energy or frequency we are involved with at this time on the planet. I do wish to go back and touch upon what he said, the children of the sun. What does that mean? So this is under the Akashic definitions of Thoth on Solarius, Solarians, and Solarian rays. It's very brief, so I'm just going to read it quickly here. The Solarians are those souls which were separated from the first beams of soul generation into creation stars, which were resonant with the Solarius. They were cultivated by the guardians and servants of the sacred rays of life creation. These are the sun children, for here on earth, in sensitivity, they are much like little children as they maintain a blithe spirit. The Solarians are the scouts, the cosmic frontiersmen, those who clear the sacred earth and raise the bridges and build the temples from his cosmic blueprint. Before the last bridge is raised, all souls of earth shall gather the beams. There are those souls with divine mission who are not from the light races of the children of the sun, or Solarians, who arose in later ages to take upon the torch. They too form circles of light in the earth. One day, all will be received into the keeping of the Atonic flame. This brings us to the new arks. Now I'm going to read to you from an article I would have written probably around 2006, that's guessing, but somewhere in there. In the new earth of Numisome, that's the first stage of the new earth, there exists energy Merkabas, which Thoth is referring to as new arks. The new arks are a much higher and more dimensional type of communication vector. They inscribe into Numisome the key creation codes from what Thoth calls the diamond star systems of the Metatronic, or full light universe. These star systems contain pure crystalline light from the flashing diamond suns within them that are constantly moving in and out of multiple universes, bringing in streams or threads of divine essence and weaving through their systems a network of pure Metatronic being. Since the diamond star systems radiate multi-level light from many universes under Lord Metatron, they offer the building blocks of divine coalescence to World System 2. That is the higher system we're moving to, from World System 1 to World System 2. The higher divine coalescence to World System 2 realities, such as our new Earth star's Numis Om. By divine coalescence, it is meant that the ability is given to a World System 2 reality to receive instruction and pathways for creating greater and greater systems, eventually bringing it to the threshold of a World System 3 state of being. The new Earth Arks are quite advanced in being from the old Earth versions. They do not operate using the same schematic. The new arcs are pure crystalline light concentrated in radiant shapes and forms. They are capable of projecting images and patterns much like crop circles on the ground of Numis Om's world terrain, feeding it with the new creation information. Now they also have an apparent physical look at times. So they flash in and out of these different dimensional appearances. Thus, the new arcs of Numis Om act as transfer stations for these divine codes through the purest form of living symbol light language. They are guided remotely by higher intelligences who oversee the evolutionary development of the new Earth star. However, human beings in our current Earth reality are connected to the creation of the new Earth Arks through the new Earth hologram we are collectively creating here. This hologram greatly defines the aspects, vectors, and light language of the new Arks, as well as the whole new Earth star. We are the new Elohim. Thoth has said this again and again. In this video, toward the end, we will be returning to the new arcs for an activational appearance with the Ra Star crystals as well, the Ra Star crystal skulls. But I want to move on at this point to address the whole crystal skulls paradigm. When I say whole, I mean the dwellers and the Ra Star. Now, this video is getting longer and longer, and as many of you know, I like to make short videos. So I'm not going to go in quite to the detail that I was with the An, the sacred An and all of that, but I feel it will bring you to a point of understanding how the crystal skulls, the dwellers, and the Ra Star integrate with the arcs. I have a great deal of material on the dweller crystal skulls, but I have a little bit that is in the playlist, so you can get connected to it there. Basically, the dweller crystal skulls are 72 crystal skulls. They are real, physical skulls, but they're also, in some instances, more etheric, which there's a group of them that Thoth calls the Metatron, and they're more etheric than the others. And all of these skulls that are on the earth, most of them are, some of them are not, but connected to the earth, or the program of light of the earth, are in caverns in the inner earth, hidden away somewhere. There are two that are not. One is the Mitchell Hedges, and the other is Compassion. These are what I like to call tabletop versions, but they are actually dweller crystal skulls. They have been brought down vibrationally to be able to meet the standard that is needed for us to interact with them in this way. And what do? Well, they are an interface between our human cognizance, the way we express our spirituality through mind, higher mind, and to some degree, not lower mind, but, more physicality. They each contain the imprinted codes of a brain, a mind of a higher being that is incarnated, in most cases, several times on this earth. Now, I'm not going to take it much further than that at the moment, but suffice to say that here we have Ans, the arks. Let me go back. Here we have the sacred An and its, attendant arks. And we have the dweller crystal skulls. The dwellers are the signaling frequency of mind, spirit through mind, that gives the programs and the intuitive commands to the Ans, to the arks. We're going to leave it at that for the moment. So then there's the 13th crystal skull. And that is a crystal skull. It's not a crystal skull. Thoth is speaking metaphorically there because it is an entity who will return to us in a physical form to represent the 13th vibrational pattern that creates the fullness of the 12 of the lotus crystal skulls. Lotus is another aspect of the 72. You have Metatrons in the 72. You have Lotus in the 72. These are subsystems. And the Lotus are the greatest command frequency of all. And there is a 13th seat, in that program of light. And that seat will be filled by a living being when she returns. I say she because she was only incarnated one other time as Shushamundra. I have a video on that. And she will return again when I think it's going to be just prior to LP40, somewhere along there, but prior to the Ascension flashpoint. He's never really quite defined that, so that's what I'm saying at the moment. As I was preparing an outline for this video, since there are many components to it, Thoth gave me something new, sort of new, because it relates to something I already knew from him, but this is a new aspect. And he really wanted me to include it here. So this is what it is. You've heard me speak of the rose Mystica, and I will have that video in the playlist. The 72 petals, 72 again, of the rose Mystica. And that is the frequency of the divine, universal feminine coming into the mind, the brain, the consciousness of humanity. I'm putting it very simply. There's a lot more to it than that. It also defines the energetic fulfillment of what Thoth is calling the Imstra molecule, which you've probably heard me speak of, which is the core molecule that it defines us as, divine beings, I guess. The divinity of spiritual awareness, cognition, that gives us the inherent right of stewardship and authority over our spiritual domain. Now, that doesn't mean over other people or things, but over our spiritual domain. So that is the Imstra molecule, and it's a quantum frequency thing. We won't go into that here. Again, I have videos. But the rose Mystica is that dew of the rose. It brings in the message, the divine message from the great birthing creatrix into that field. Again, I'm really shortcutting things here because this video is getting longer and longer, but that is essentially what it is. So, now Thoth is speaking about an order he calls the Templari Rosari. And he is telling me that they are the guardians of this frequency, and they use crystal skulls, not the dweller skulls, but hosting skulls, to transmit these frequencies and keep them alive into the very human planetary field. Now, this is very interesting to me because prior to my work with the Quantum Logic Interactive program, which I have been ongoing now for 4 years, there was the Sholar, and that's what we were doing. We were working with hosting crystal skulls. And the quantum logic is the development of that. It's moved into this other field, and I knew that at some point the crystal skulls were coming back into it. Well, they really never left it, but I mean in a conscious, operative way, we would be working with them again in this new program. And now I see that entry point, but I'm not going to go into all that here. I'm just saying. So when he told me about the Templari Rosari, I saw that these were physical human beings, although they come from our inner earth kindred, but they're on the surface of the planet, that are working with this similar program, but of course of a higher order, because they're, more impressive dudes. They come from the inner earth kindred. So anyway, I was very impressed with all this myself, because it just, rang a bell. Now, why are they coming into the scene here for this video? Because they work with the crystal skull energy, and they are the ones that are opening the scroll, as Thoth would say, to bring in the frequencies of the raw star crystal skulls, which we're going to be talking about in just a moment. In reference to the Templari Rosari, Thoth tells me that they are an aspect of something he gave me information on many years ago, and I'm going to read just a little bit to you about this. The Johanan Corpus of the Rose Mystica. And these are, it's an inner planes order, but it also is represented in the sacred hollow of the earth. The Johanan Corpus of the Rose Mystica refers to a spiritually guided and esoterically informed grouping of souls committed to awakening and spreading the Johanan consciousness across the earth. Rooted in the teachings and spiritual lineage of St. John, that would be the, it doesn't say which, but that would be the apostle. This corpus embodies a deep mystical understanding and a call to divine service. The members of this corpus are connected by a common goal to elevate spiritual awareness and express the principles of love, wisdom, and truth, akin to those taught in the traditions associated with St. John the Evangelist and all the Johns of that connection. That would be John the Baptist, John of Revelations, and, most importantly, according to Thoth, John Martinus, the son of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. This corpus functions as a conduit for divine energies and teachings, channeling through various spiritual practices and meditative insights. Its members are seen as custodians of sacred knowledge, working to preserve and transmit esoteric teachings that are often symbolized by the rose, a symbol of hidden knowledge and mystic truth. The Rose Mystica, in this context, represents the unfolding of spiritual wisdom and the blossoming of the soul's potential through divine grace and guidance. The Johanan Corpus of the Rose Mystica serves as a beacon of higher spiritual learning and divine alignment, fostering a deeper connection between its members and the celestial forces guiding their mission. So obviously, the Rosari group, the Templari Rosari, are, as an aspect of this, or representation of this on the surface earth, have much more going for them than just the work with the Dweller crystal skulls, and even the bringing forth or opening the scroll for the raw star crystal skulls. However, this is an important service that they are performing. Thoth also informs me that there are others that are enveloped under this Johanan Corpus of the Rose Mystica. Even my work, the work I do, Thoth has brought it to my attention years ago about the reference to the Johanan frequency. That's a whole other story. So now he's saying, well, yes, this the Johanan Corpus of the Rose Mystica, that is the category under which my vibrational connection to Thoth and the work that he's giving me comes through. Because, well, maybe not the only reason, but Thoth was the soul of John Martinus, the son of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. So, there's a connection to all these different streams and paths. And I'm just speaking of the one right at this moment that connects me and the work that I'm doing, the work that you're listening to here and hopefully resonating with. As many of you know, I now have the new Earth Ark Foundation, which has some land here and donated to it in Crestone. And of course, it's going to be a network globally. I say going to be. It's based on all of my material from all these 55 plus years, but it's going to be something that reaches out to people through teachers who are teaching this information and bringing in their own insights and protocols and things of that nature to work with it. So the Thothic work that I've brought through all these years will be the foundation for that. And the New Earth Ark Foundation will have the teachers within it that bring that forward. I'll still be involved as long as I'm on this plane and with my own work. Right now, I'm still under the auspices of the ministry, the nonprofit Spirit Heart Sanctuary, but this is a new direction, something that's opening up here for the work to flourish even beyond my lifetime. I bring that up because Thoth named it the New Earth Ark, ARK Foundation. And he said, well, you could look at it as the Ark, like the Ark of Moses. Not of Moses, what's his name? It wasn't Moses. Noah, that's it. I get Moses and Noah mixed up sometimes. The Ark of Noah, which was an Atlantean being, by the way. But it's really more connected to the sacred An than anything else. But the two arks kind of merge because they're both receptacles of divine order and transmission. So enough said about that. The arks, the crystal skulls, the Templi Rosari, all of that are very strongly connected to the true Templar origins. Thoth stated that the original first Templar, and he was speaking spiritually, symbolically here, and not referencing it as an actual physical official order, but spiritually, the first Templar, he said, was John Martinus, the son of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. And out of John Martinus and his work, which is largely, completely unknown, I guess, at this point, was developed a series of events and connections that finally created the actual physical order of the Templars. Of course, that order, had an outer self and an inner self. The outer self sometimes got a little frayed in the passage, but the inner self remained intact. And that inner portion was dedicated to understanding many things, and really under the Johanan Corpus of the Rose Mystica, the sacred core of the Templars. There is a video I saw the other day, just as I was going through some of this again, coincidentally, and of course there are no coincidences, with Scott Walter, whom I really like his work, and another fellow, I can't remember his name, but he's very impressive. And I'm going to put a link to that video as well down below. I don't agree with every single, I say I don't. The Thothic impression is that not every single thing they say in it, their conclusions are all match what I receive from Thoth. But there's an awful lot that does, especially the connection of the arks and how there were many arks and how they flowed with, this network of connection, which is, what Thoth has been telling me for many years. So the fact that there is such a Templar connection is a strong point for us here in Crestone, because in addition to the New Earth Ark Foundation, there is also the Johanan Templars. And Michael Henry Dunn is the Calic, Thoth calls him the Calic of the order, and I have my role as well. It's a fledgling right now, it's more in spirit than anything else, but it is kind of a a sister-brother order connection to the New Earth Ark Foundation. Here's what Thoth related to me in 2018 about the raw star crystal skulls. These new 72, another 72, were crystalline receiver vessels for 72 souls who had never incarnated in the world system on Earth. They were in the original lotus, but never descended. That's the subliminal experience souls that created this reality, the higher reality of this world, were in before they descended into the physical. I have a video on that too. They are now coming through to interact with the 72 dweller crystal skulls. They are joining with them to form the alliance needed to activate the 144,000 light wave through the Vault of Osiris beneath the Temple of the Risen One, Great Pyramid. This light wave is an essential connection for the whole ascension dynamic of Osiris, performing the Firestar Kachina dance. This goes off into another thing we're not going to go into here, but it is a sacred movement of consciousness that comes about at just the right time within the Vault of Osiris beneath the Great Pyramid, the Temple of the Risen One, that connects to Orion and literally blasts off the whole ascension modality through LP40. It is like the jet engine that starts the whole program. So now, with the Osiris Arising project, and that is the project that has the Sholar involved, we have 144 full complement of crystal skulls registering the 144,000 petal lotus light wave. While the Osiris Arising project and its inner complement, the Sholar, have more or less run its course, it is now being extenuated and evolved into the Quantum Logica Interactive project. And so now let us move into simply opening the collective field in your being, heart, mind, soul, and connecting to these images. They aren't absolute likenesses of the New Earth Arks, but they are energetically and light encoded wise connected, and the symbology of them is meant to trigger an understanding of that field. And there is, of course, some similarity in the outer form as they progress and turn and move into more physical presentations of their similitude. In conclusion, I bring forth here something that was given to me by Thoth in 2009. I had a vision of a circular platform in the sky with a seat on top of the platform. Light was moving through it from above and below. There was a beautiful lotus blossom seat with buds or beams of rays of light coming out from it. I knew then that what I was seeing was the Gloria, a new Earth Ark of the Mother. It could change its outer form for different purposes, but the basic schematic remained the same, and that is what you're going to be seeing here in my artistic presentation. The basic pattern of it with a rotating platform. Yet I'd like to speak a little more about this in regard to the Golden City. It was revealed to me that its true dwelling place is within the Golden City of the human brain, which is now being built within us and as a visual counterpart being created also in the New Earth star realm. The Gloria, a new Earth Ark, is the key arc of alignment for our energy systems and transporting us into the new Earth vibration. It offers us a path in the genetic DNA to true presence. What I saw and is manifested in the New Earth realm is an outer expression of this inner world creation evolving in our brains and DNA. What you're going to see, I created some years ago in Second Life, which is a virtual world. It's very primitive, but it gives you a feeling of the dynamic that actually is performed in the New Earth star by certain individuals, just as we would gather, in Stonehenge to create an energy circle and move with a sacred geometry and place it and install it in the frequency. We do those things here now. Well, they do those things there, only it's of somewhat higher order because they have the ability to connect to a much more advanced etheric field that they are living in. I say they, it's going to be us, right? But we're looking into the future here because when we remove ourselves from the linear timeline, it's already there, and so are we.